Araxxor is a high-level Slayer boss that has excellent rewards. This guide will focus on getting you comfortable with the kills as well as give you some tips for learning. 92 Slayer in an Araxyte task is required to take on Araxxor. It is also recommended to have high melee combat stats and a way to cure venom. For equipment, we're going to focus on the crush attack style, as well as prioritizing melee strength. You'll also want a heavy style ranged weapon to deal with the smaller Araxytes. A rune crossbow with broad bolts will suffice. Upgrade as you can. You could bring a SERP helm here, but I highly recommend just using a Slayer helmet for the DPS increase. For inventory, we'll want to bring a method of travel, combat potions, a way to restore prayer, food, and a method to cure venom, either via the Lunar Spellbook and runes for Cure Me, or a variation of an anti-venom potion. If using a SERP helm, just disregard that part. Bringing a defense-reducing spec weapon is also handy for the start of the fight, as well as a DPS-style spec like a Dragon Dagger for the enraged portion of Araxxor. There are several ways you can actually get to Araxxor. I will only mention 3 from fastest to slowest. You can either teleport directly to the cave via the use of a spider cave teleport. You can teleport to the hollowed sepulcher using a hollowed crystal shard, then exiting and using the wall shortcut just southeast. It does require completion of Sins of the Father, level 63 agility, and 2 ropes. Lastly, you can just use an ectophile or a fairy ring, code ALQ, and then just run south past the little small bridge to the cave. Once you get to the cave, put on Protect from melee to prevent getting comboed out by the spiders for unnecessary damage, and run to the Araxxor entrance. Once you are at the entrance, or you enter the cave, go ahead and pot up, throw up Protect from melee, and get ready to drop a defense reduction spec if you have one. When fighting Araxxor, you will first want to note the color of the first egg, as this determines the special attack that Araxxor is going to use for the rest of the fight. This has a chance to change every kill. These special attacks happen every 6 attacks. I always do 2 attacks after an egg hatches and prepare for the visual cues from Araxxor. If you see a white egg first, Araxxor will use an acid spray. This will shoot acid out in a wide arc around you and put acid pools on random tiles. I try to run roughly 4 tiles around Araxxor when I see these come out. If the first egg is red, Araxxor will shoot an acid blob at you, which will leave an acid pool underneath you every tick for 6 ticks. I recommend turning on and using control clicking to have your character walk around Araxxor. You can count out roughly 6 tiles of acid and then be safe. If you see a green egg, Araxxor will shoot out an acid ball in one of 8 different directions based on where the character is standing. It's always closest to you in a cardinal direction, or even northwest, southwest, northeast, southeast, and so on. This has a visual cue for players to react to as well. Araxxor will return in a direction that isn't directly at the player. Move 2 tiles around Araxxor when you see this, and you will negate the damage. It does leave acid pools behind. I prefer to stand near the corners for this, as it enables me to identify it a little bit better. The next thing you need to know about the fight is what each of the 3 Araxytes do. The green acidic Araxyte just rags you with range. Equip your heavy range weapon and proceed to kill it. I tend to move to the middle tiles to draw it a little bit closer to me so I don't step out of Araxxor's melee range. If you do step out, it allows Araxxor to hit you with a ranged or mage attack. The white mirrorback Araxyte reflects any melee damage done to it or Araxxor. So I recommend just handling this one like the green Araxyte. Just equip your heavy range weapon and kill it dead. Lastly is the red Raptura Araxyte that will explode once it is in melee range. There's also a visual cue to this, kind of like Araxxor's acid ball special. This damages everything around it. You, Araxxor, and other Araxytes in the radius. 2 things to note here. You want its tiles to be partially under Araxxor's, and when you see the visual cue, you will want to run 4 tiles away from it. This will ensure you take no more than 7 damage, if any damage at all. This is a huge DPS increase to killing Araxxor. Definitely mark Araxxor and Raptura for tiles, so you can visualize it being underneath Araxxor to do a sweet 80 damage. With those out of the way, you'll be dealing with those mechanics while moving around Araxxor and dealing damage. Once Araxxor finally falls below 255 HP, you will see it coat its front legs in venom. This is the enrage phase. You will no longer deal with Araxxor's special attacks, but will have to continually plan on dealing with Araxytes hatching at the normal cadence. The new thing with the enrage phase is Araxxor will now attack 2 ticks faster and place acid on your tile and the tiles to your sides. Every attack is visualized by Araxxor shouting, "Scree!" Once you see those words, move 2 tiles away from where you're standing or around Araxxor. If you have no tiles to your sides, you can step back 1 tile as well. Keep in mind, if you do step back a tile, give yourself an extra tick before attacking. If not, you'll get pulled into the venom pools. Continue to attack and move as needed during this phase. I recommend treating this part like Jad. Focus on 1 action and then moving. So if you're ranging an Araxyte, attack it and then move. You can move slowly here as you take no damage from Araxxor if you properly move around the area. If you can line up a red Raptura Araxyte explosion, it will help speed this up. But dealing less damage to Araxxor with the explosion and taking no damage can be better than max damage and taking damage if you are learning. From here, you should have everything you need to handle Araxxor. If you've made it this far, I'd greatly appreciate if you consider supporting the channel through channel memberships. I plan on doing monthly or bi-weekly podcast style videos for members where we can talk about the state of the game or interview other creators or people in the old school RuneScape world. The money does go directly into the video quality as well, so I appreciate anybody who even considers it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all see you in the next one. Peace.